it's going up forever, Law.
Yo, welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live, our number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Cover breaking news, culture, medic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Today, we're going to talk about a interesting topic, a topic that holds near and dear to my heart. Bitcoin is it's not just an investment. It is not just a, this speculative asset. We have that famous saying in Bitcoin, right? You came for the money, you stay for the revolution. But if you are in the lower middle classes, if you're in the younger generations, specifically the Zoomer generation, the millennial generation, your time has been stolen from you via inflation, via the system itself. And today I'm going to make the case as to why not only do you need Bitcoin to survive, but you need Bitcoin to thrive. In yesterday's episode, we covered how the amount of money that millennials and Gen Zers need to retire, comfortable retirement, moved from that magic number of $1 million, and it moved up to $3 to $5 million. And that will continue to happen under the fiat system. In 10 years, I'm sure those numbers will be even higher. What is required to retire? And obviously, right, if you live in a system where the purchasing power of the money that you're earning and saving in is literally designed to lose value, of course that's going to happen. But if you live in an opposite system, if you adopt a Bitcoin standard, something that Opti and I have adopted, something that the country of El Salvador adopted, something that Michael Saylor has adopted, look at all the wonders it has done. Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy has outperformed every S&P 500, the average S&P 500. It has outperformed a lot of the tech stocks. It's even outperformed Bitcoin. In Nayib Bukele's case, in El Salvador's case, his bond is the best performing bond of all of Central and South America, right? Do you think that's a coincidence? The country that adopted a Bitcoin standard is performing as well as it is. It's almost as if, the government is acting on aligned incentives. And I could speak what Bitcoin has done for me personally, adopting a Bitcoin standard about roughly 7 to 8 years ago. It's going to be in my 8th year, very, very soon. I could tell you what it has done for me personally, right? It completely changes the playing field. All of a sudden, you have the hope, you have the ability to plan for a better future. So we're going to dive into that today. And what is the alternative? The alternative is a national currency, a political currency, a currency that is designed to steal from you, right? And any time this is confronted, what I've noticed is that they just completely ignore it. And I think that the reason that they ignore it in the first place is because they don't have a good answer to that, right? I've referenced this paper that was written by the U.S. Treasury, which was a response by an executive order issued by the Biden administration. And the name of the paper was called The Future of Money and Payments. And in that paper, in the eyes of the current administration, the future of money or payments are stablecoins, payment platforms, central bank digital currencies, and it also made the case as to why you need a government to issue a money. But what was not issued in that paper, what was not mentioned in that paper, better said, was Bitcoin. And then you have to start thinking about it. Like, Bitcoin is this insane innovation. It's been made the legal tender of a country, but why can't they admit that the future of Bitcoin could potentially be, the future of money and payments? Because if they admitted that, they would also have to admit that a currency can exist without inflation. And that is like opening Pandora's box. That is how you get people asking very, very tough questions, right? That is how you shift the Overton window from this radical concept of inflation has to exist. It's like it's a law of nature, and you slowly start shifting that Overton window. And again, that's not just the theory. This is happening in real time in Argentina, where the libertarian candidate won the presidential primary, right? And he has a very good shot at becoming president. And he's saying exactly what us Bitcoiners have been saying for quite a while now. Inflation is theft. Inflation is a hidden tax that not that many people, not only are people not aware of it, people they didn't sign up for it, right? It's like we already have income tax. We already have to pay income tax. That's a whole other thing that I don't want to get into. But we have to pay this hidden tax of inflation so that the governments could, print money and pay for these crazy things, whatever's off the top of their mind. I saw it the other day that the current administration, again, we're not political on Simply Bitcoin, whether it's a Republican or Democrat in office, either or, they do the same thing. They print money and they devalue everyone else's money. But what I saw was that there was this recent catastrophe in Maui in Hawaii, and they agreed to send over $7 million, but they also agreed to send $24 billion to Ukraine to fight a war. All of that would not be possible, this misallocation of capital, if it wasn't for the money printer. The money printer is the issue. It's not enough to end the Fed, right? Because when you hear those topics, like end the Fed, replace it with the gold standard, end the Fed, period. Just don't replace it with anything. Replace it with Bitcoin, right? A monetary policy that is set in stone that can't be changed by anyone. Rules without rulers. Anyways, it's going to be a great show. Really excited. I want to bring up my legendary co-host, always optimistic. Opti, what are we going to talk about during the culture today? Is it just me and you? Is it just me and you today?
Us, dude. It's actually, I think, it's just us until we're in Austin at BitBlock Boom. I'm sure we will corral some friends to give you guys some extra sauce on the show. And that's why everyone's yelling at us in the chat. Like, you guys are late to your own party. We were brainstorming. We're trying to figure out how to get you guys the best content by the end of the week. But hold on, before I get into what we're doing in the culture, I can tell that you really are passionate about this one, Nico. I can tell by the very illustrious monologue on today's show that this is going to be a good one. And I'm actually doing something similar on the culture today. Again, I just mentioned we're going to be at BitBlock Boom this week, and it really made me think about, like, why do you go to these conferences? And most people go not only just to meet Bitcoiners, but to work in Bitcoin. So I'm going to do like an entrepreneur work in Bitcoin thing, kind of a little recap, maybe a little story time on how we got here and what we are doing, and hopefully just give people some advice, give them some value, and inspire them to also figure out ways that they can contribute, that they can get paid doing what they love. So this is the goal for everything we do here at Simply Bitcoin, is to save in Bitcoin, live a good life, and continue to prosper. And it's on the same vein. It's just it's a little more, less esoteric and more just practical, pragmatic advice on doing and building businesses in Bitcoin moving forward. So I know I'm excited for this one. I've been thinking about this one for the last couple of days. I was going to wait till tomorrow, but I think it might fit better today. So I don't know. It might even turn into an article. I'm still working through it, but I think you guys will like this one.
Awesome. Also, I want to mention, guys, we do have your back. If you're interested in going to BitBlock Boom and you want a discount on your tickets, you can use promo code all caps Simply Bitcoin, and it'll get you a nice discount to BitBlock Boom. Hope to see a lot of you guys there. And for anyone who doesn't know, BitBlock Boom was the first time Opti and I met each other in the flesh, in person. And this was absolutely crazy. This would only happen in Bitcoin land. We actually decided to get a room together to save some money.
I was going to bring that up too. We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
So yeah, man, it's I love these conferences. It's good. Look, it's fine talking across the interwebs. I get it. We're all like kind of plugged into this Bitcoin matrix. I get it. But these in-person events are very, very, very special. The only thing though that I would say, because I ran into this issue the other day, is that like I wish people just wore like a little lanyard with their Bitcoin, with their Twitter x.com avatar on it, so that I could actually recognize people. Because what tends to happen a lot of the time, people come up to me and they're like, yo, Nico, yo, Opti. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, hey, what's up, man? Like, how are you? And they're like,
where's your profile pic?
I'm this person from the internet. And I'm like, oh, what's up, man? I've knew you this entire time. So that's really interesting. That's the only recommendation that I would say. Print out your profile pic, post a sticker on it or something.
Don't dox yourself like that.
Don't dox yourself? Okay. All right. Then I guess it's just going to keep happening. I don't know.
Just surprise
it's just
us.
Going to just surprise us.
But wait, don't get mad when we're like, wait, who are you? Sorry, bro. Oh, I need your profile picture.
That's why I said it, because I always feel so bad, you know? And then when they tell me, I'm like, oh, what's up, man? How are you? How's everything? Anyways, gonna be a great show.
We're getting roasted in the chat, Nico. We'll talk about it later. Just get in the show. Get in the show.
All right, let's do it. Let's jump straight into the numbers.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, guys, I also want to make it very easy for you. If you scan the QR code on your screen right now, it will take you directly to the Stamp Seed website. And I highly recommend you store your generational wealth on titanium. Don't store it on paper, because if not, that's going to be a very, very difficult conversation you're going to have with your grandchildren as to why you lost your generational wealth because you didn't put it on titanium. Anyways, at the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 25. No! Going back, there we go. 25,850 sats per dollar, 3,868 block height, 804,380 blocks to halving, 35,620 halving estimate, April 20th, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity 4,656 Bitcoin, capacity value 120 million US dollars, realized monetary inflation 1.76%. The market capitalization of Bitcoin $503 billion with a B. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 3.96%. Oh, it's under 4%. Well, over time, that number will continue to go up, and the realized monetary inflation will continue to go down, continuing to embarrass fiat currencies. Did you guys see that article, by the way, where they were normalizing, and this came from either the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, and they're like, it's time to normalize a higher inflation target than this magical 2%. Let's make it 3%. Let's make it 4%. 3 or 4% theft, you know? Yeah, 3 to 4. Like, it's so freaking crazy. We live in this world. We're going to be looking back 50 years from now. People are going to be reading about this in the history books, or if there even is history books at that point, like 100 or 200 or 300 years from now, and they'll be like, these people were fucking nuts. These people were crazy. They actually thought that, like, money stealing from you, that inflation was necessary for money to work. That's an absolute shit show. Anyways, we were talking about breaking of the Overton window, and Natalie Brunell, one of the most talented content creators in the space, I would say podcasters, one of the most talented podcasters in the space, said she does an incredible job. This is what she was trained for, breaking the Overton window on the legacy corporate media. Now, we know that the legitimacy and also the reach of the legacy corporate media is diminishing by the day as people continue to seek alternative media sources, like on the internet, their favorite content creators, their favorite independent content creators, platforms like Twitter, platforms like Nostr, platforms like Rumble, platforms like YouTube. Shout out to our Rumble audience, by the way, continues to grow. Shout out to all of you guys. If you guys can't find us on YouTube for whatever reason, the show still streams Monday through Friday, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you could find us on Rumble and on Twitter in case you can't find us on YouTube for whatever reason. Anyways, so this clip was speaking about Argentina's Javier Milei primary win, and Natalie saying the quiet part out loud on legacy corporate media, basically saying our money is broken. Now, the entire clip's about 4 minutes long. I don't know if we're going to play the entire thing, but let's check it out. And again, you have to zoom out. We are your number one source of the peaceful revolution. What you're watching right now is these concepts of broken money introduced into the mainstream consciousness, therefore moving the Overton window, moving those sayings and those talking points from radical to accepted, eventually to popular, and then inevitably to policy, right? So anyways, let's play this clip and then we'll talk about it.
How do you pronounce it? Milei wins the presidential primary. This is the Bitcoin candidate?
That's right. And, you know, imagine if you're a parent in Argentina and you go to sleep at night and you wake up and your currency has been devalued by almost 20%, which is the reality there. Inflation is over 100% year over year. The peso to the dollar, it's gone down 92%. So people are really struggling. And I think that they resonate with the message that Javier Milei is saying, which is that, you know what, inflation is theft. He's saying the quiet part out loud, and he's really advocating for the working class to be able to take back some of that economic power because they're losing it.
You know what I love about it too, and it's like El Salvador, they're also saying to the IMF and the World Bank and those kind of folks, hey, you know what, you got us in a twist, you twist us in a knot. We take these loans that are prohibitively expensive, you tether us to these currencies, and then you control them from afar, and we never have control of our fate. That's why Argentina, they have a currency crisis every other year.
Right.
So like you hear that, right? That's not Natalie. We know Natalie's a Bitcoiner through and through, but that is the Fox anchor himself talking about the IMF, talking about the World Bank. You're witnessing the Bitcoin echo chamber being broken in real time. This is what moves the needle.
See why they would want, an alternative. I would want an alternative. Well, they wake up any given day, you could be down 20% on the peso there.
Right. Bitcoin is a risk-off asset in places like Argentina and Lebanon, where the currency is failing in real time, and Bitcoin has been a life raft.
And it's failing in slow motion here. All right. Speaking of politics, is there a presidential candidate that stands out with respect to Bitcoin?
You know, I think it's worth pausing and noting the fact that for the first time in history, there are 4 presidential candidates that have named a digital asset, Bitcoin, and they are advocating for people's freedom to hold it and transact in it. This has never happened before. And now I don't like to put politicians on the pedestal, but that's never happened before in history that we have 4 presidents.
You're not going to tell us who they are?
Presidential candidates naming Bitcoin.
So absolutely crazy.
Vivek, Suarez, RFK Jr., and DeSantis all saying Bitcoin for freedom.
You got less than a minute to go. I want to ask you about this Gallup poll. This comes out a lot. I always find it intriguing what Americans view as a best long-term investment. Now, traditionally, how?
All right, so you guys get the point. This is breaking the Bitcoin echo chamber. The Fox host is onto it. Remember, this phenomenon only isn't just happening with Fox. It was happening on CNBC, where the CNBC anchors were defending Bitcoin in a way, right? Again, coincidentally, this happened only after the BlackRock ETF was announced, but still, it's still happening. It's still moving in the right direction. This is crazy. I can't, if you would have told me about this 5 years ago, I've been here quite a bit of time. So has Opti. We would have laughed you out of the room and said that is impossible. This is crazy. So I can't even imagine where Bitcoin's going to be 5 years from now. What countries are up next to make Bitcoin legal tender? Is Argentina going to make Bitcoin legal tender? We know we have an Austrian economist that has a very high probability of winning the presidency, getting rid of the central bank, and he's already advocating for Bitcoin. So who knows? I don't know. It's never been such an exciting time with the BlackRock stuff, with the Michael Saylor stuff, with the El Salvador stuff, with the Argentina stuff. Bitcoin stays winning. Number go up technology keeps doing its thing. The hash rate continues to go parabolic. The network has never been as secure as it is today. Man, Bitcoin stays winning. Maybe it's a good idea to get some just in case it catches on. Opti, what's your take on this, bro?
Well, first and foremost, shouts out to the Fox anchor. That Pure signal. And I think it goes to show that the Bitcoin signal is obviously spreading outside of Bitcoin Twitter. I think we are in the very beginnings of the Bitcoin echo chamber actually breaking. And yes, of course, most of the conversation is on Bitcoin Twitter amongst all of us Bitcoiners. But I think most people in the world has at the very least heard about Bitcoin. They may not have had their multiple touches in regards to Bitcoin. So obviously a lot of people aren't fully Bitcoined yet. Like they're not Bitcoiners. They're not on the Bitcoin standard yet. But as you can see on the Fox anchor himself, how many Bitcoiners have been on Fox News in the last year? And obviously the more he's talked to these people, whether it was like the Kaisers or the Bukeles or the Nat Brunels of the world, you can see that they are coming around to the idea of Bitcoin. And it's really about having these conversations and emphasizing doing them tactfully, so you're not just screeching autistically at people and trying to force them into your beliefs and just incepting these ideas to people. And as more and more news comes out, more and more receipts and more data points comes out, people start to wake up to the idea of Bitcoin. And of course, like what I'm forgetting this guy's names, but the Fox anchor, what do you say? Like, that's what I love about El Salvador and Argentina telling the IMF to go fuck themselves. Well, obviously El Salvador, not so much Argentina yet, but like, have we not been saying this for a while? And of course, maybe we still inherently are giving the corporate press more weight than they deserve, because you know we know, at least here at Simply Bitcoin, Nico and I, that independent content creators are the real ones that are spreading the signal. They just still have the suits, they still have the corporate structure that makes them seem a little more legitimate than
they're writing on coattails, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I agree. But it's funny how, you know, our friends that are also YouTubers, whether they're in Bitcoin or not, talk about the same thing, and it's like, yeah, you know, we're average people talking about it. But when you have someone on the TV, remember, it's like our parents. It's like, well, it said it on the television, it must be true. Like, this is, even us, we're still kind of falling for it, like low key. But he did say another meme that I really enjoyed: fiat failing in slow motion. Do we not say this all the time? And that's why most people are just completely oblivious to what is going on in the world, because it happens so slowly. And the dollar is, you know, the most stable fiat currency in the world. And what you start this with, that story about them trying to move the Overton window on inflation. It's like, hey, look, we are going to try to normalize stealing from you 4%, maybe 3%. What's 1 more percent? Like, what's that matter to you? But I think just doubling down on this idea, I've been saying this all year, Bitcoin has very obviously crossed the mainstream Rubicon. We are still in that beginning phase where us Bitcoiners aren't taken as legitimate. We're not taken seriously yet, but it's okay. Like, as long as they're talking about the same points that we are, as long as that message is being talked about, spread, as long as these questions are being asked, that is the first step. It's not so much about forcing behavior in one fell swoop. It's about inching them closer and closer to what we know to be the truth. And Nico and I were joking about this in the beginning. This might be a little tangent, but no one knows what the hell they're doing out there. Everyone is pretending. And I believe that Bitcoiners have the truth. Like, we know how reality is working. We know how money works. And more people are going to slowly but surely move towards Bitcoin being the best economic vehicle in the world. And what do people want to do? They want to live a good life. And Bitcoin will allow that. So, hey, Bitcoiners stay winning. The Bitcoin message is going global. It's because it is a global phenomenon, and it's only a matter of time until everyone can't stop talking about Bitcoin. So here we are. We're at the end of a bear market, maybe the beginning of a bull market, and the Bitcoin signal is everywhere. It's global. It's on every corner. It's on every mainstream media at this point, whether negative or positive. And actually, one more rant, Nico. Remember in the past, like when we first got into Bitcoin, the only time you ever heard about Bitcoin on corporate press, it was negative. And at least now it's negative. Yeah, some people are negative and some people are positive. He's a Bitcoiner.
No, but the guy was like literally like, yeah, the IMF wasn't like, what are they doing? Like, I don't think they're doing some good stuff. Like, the fact that is talked about on legacy corporate media, which is bought and paid for, I might add, right? Like, they have special interest. This is why independent media is so powerful, because it's like, this is why Joe Rogan has the ability to, not as much as he used to, but he has the ability to talk about subject matter that wouldn't be appropriate for the legacy institutions to talk about because they don't have masters, right? And as more and more people, start their own platform, like they start a YouTube channel, they start a Rumble channel, they start a Twitter channel, right? The truth is starting to get out and they can't plug the holes fast enough. That's why I see governments reacting in a way where it's like they're trying to label things that don't come from the co-opted media sources as quote unquote misinformation. That news coming out from Europe is absolutely bonkers, dude. Where like, Opti, why don't you keep going while I'll pull it up? Because I have to bring this up.
Wait, what? I don't know exactly what news you're talking about.
Dude, the Twitter news where basically Twitter is being forced by the EU.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's just go back though to that topic. When I got into Bitcoin, 2017, the end of 2017, the only thing you'd ever hear about Bitcoin in corporate press was absolutely negative. And here we are, 5-6 years later now, and you're starting to get at least favorable coverage in regards to Bitcoin. And I think it kind of goes to frogs boiling in water meme. We're just so close to it. We're so obsessed with Bitcoin, and we're constantly talking about Bitcoin that we don't see that we have inched the Overton window to the Bitcoin signal. But anyways, Nico, you got this up here. What's up?
Yeah. So, and I was talking about this idea where, the ability for the nation state, the ability for governments, these powerful institutions to control the narrative is diminishing. I call this the great disintermediation. It started with the internet, and then Bitcoin came with a drum of gasoline and put fire on it. And the fire is the fire of freedom. And, these are mechanisms of control that they've had for decades and decades and decades. I really saw a very powerful tweet from Jack Posobiec, and I mentioned it at the Bitcoin 2022 conference on stage. And I said, and the tweet is, if social media existed back in 2003, we wouldn't have gone to war with Iraq. But remember, the people are seeing it. Tucker has said it in a podcast, right? People trusted the New York Times. People trusted the Wall Street Journal. People trusted CNN. Like if you would have told me 10 years ago, I would have said, yeah, CNN is the real deal. But now that the internet is propagating and it's given the ability for millions upon millions of individuals to directly communicate with each other, you have these institutions freaking the F out because they can no longer control the narrative the way that they've been able to do for a long period of time now. And now, most importantly, not only are we witnessing the disintermediation of information, but we're also witnessing the disintermediation of money. It's happening at the same time, and it's causing chaos. And they're reacting very similarly to the disintermediation of money. They're saying, that's not money. We're the only ones that get to decide what money is. Have you noticed that it sounds very similar to what happens when you get information from a non-approved source, right? It's just very interesting how this is all playing out. But anyways, here's this tweet from Ratsani. I'm assuming he's an independent, journalist. He has 32 million views on YouTube, and he goes on to say from 25th August 2023, Twitter, also known as X.com, to add button to report user to the EU when new decree against freedom of speech comes into force. EU to outlaw forms of political dissent. Right. This is what it's all about, man. This is why platforms like Nostr are so important. And remember, why are we talking about this on a Bitcoin show? Well, if you think that they're going to be okay with you not saying certain things, right? Whatever your political belief is, and they're going to be okay with you getting to choose what money you use, and the money that you use allows you to communicate and send money freely to anyone around the world without even knowing their identity, you're joking yourself, right? The fight for free speech is the first line for the fight for Bitcoin. You can't have one and not the other. freedom of speech is Bitcoin. Money is a form of speech. And I don't want that to get lost on people. Anyways, that was just a thought that popped into my head.
Well, just doubling down, Bitcoin is literally code. Bitcoin is literally speech, guys. So like you don't need to abstract this too much. Bitcoin is literally code. It's literally words. It's ones and zeros. It's speech. This is a freedom of speech thing. And like Nico says, if they are trying to outlaw speech, what makes you think they're going to let you try to transact freely on the internet? Like it's one in the same fight, like literally.
100%. Anyways, shout out to Latrice. I'm going to Bitcoin 2024 Nashville next year. Would love to meet Nico, Opti, and everyone else. Absolutely would love to meet you in person. Guys, you can use promo code SIMPLY for the Bitcoin 2024 conference. Speaking of the Bitcoin 2024 conference, it's going to be absolutely epic. It's going to be the biggest Bitcoin conference of the year. You definitely don't want to miss it. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, July 25th through the 27th. It's not going to be in Miami. It's going to be in Nashville. And it's the year of the halving. You don't want to miss the biggest Bitcoin celebration on earth of the year of the halving, Bitcoin 2024. For a GA ticket, it's $349. For an industry pass, if you're trying to get a job in the industry, it's $849. And for a whale pass, it's $4,749. You can use promo code SIMPLY to get a 10% discount to Bitcoin 2024. All right, guys, let's jump straight into the news. We got a lot to cover today. Let's check it out.
The Daily News.
All right, guys, I want to tell you about Bitcoin evangelism. The great Tatum Turnip once said Bitcoin evangelism is like if the Bitcoin Standard and Bitcoin for Dummies had a baby. Have you ever struggled to answer your skeptical no-coiners friends' objections? Or maybe you answered it perfectly, but they just didn't understand what you said. Bitcoin evangelism will equip you with an arsenal of simple illustrations to help you articulate the tenets of Bitcoin to anyone. Boomer neighbor? Check. Aunt Edna, who's worried about Bitcoin being the currency of the Antichrist? Check. Annoying dude from work that rubs it in your face anytime the price of Bitcoin goes down? Check. That's why you got to get yourself a copy of Bitcoin Evangelism: Planting Seeds for the Decentralized Revolution. The author is Bryant the Mint from the Orange Pill app. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now. It'll take you directly to Amazon so you can get your copy of Bitcoin Evangelism. Anyways, guys, let's jump straight into news. I'm going to start it off with this video. Actually, I'm going to be covering stuff from Marty Bent today, mostly, because I think he's done an incredible job covering this.
Shout out, Marty.
And yeah, shout out Marty, amazing content creator, huge fan, TFTC. So anyways, let's check this out. So he says, the sentiment will accelerate moving forward. People are going to get angrier. They should be. The conversation about inflation needs to shift away from politicians and the rich toward fiat money controlled by central banks to affect any real change. This is why Natalie Burnell going on Fox News is so important in moving the Overton window. This is why Javier Milei potentially winning the presidency of Argentina is so important. This is why Nayib Bukele making Bitcoin legal tender in El Salvador is so important. This is why Michael Saylor choosing to use Bitcoin as an alternative to holding fiat on their balance sheet is so important. All of those things, the combined effort, moves the Overton window and starts to get people to ask the real question. What is that real question? What is money? What is money? Why am I being forced through legal tender laws to use a money that steals from me? They do not have an answer to that question. Full stop. They do not have an answer to it. Their only answer, they're going to try to obfuscate it. They're going to say, if it's not a money controlled by the government, if it's not a money issued by the government, they're going to say, terrorism, money laundering, financial instability. Well, you know what? The IMF said that El Salvador was going to have financial instability when they adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. And then the IMF gave Argentina a bailout that with the clause that made the Argentine government de-incentivize the adoption of Bitcoin. And what happened 1 year later? The exact opposite of the IMF's advice was the good advice. So I don't think the IMF has the best interest of these countries at heart. And what was so important about that interview with Natalie Brunell on Legacy Corporate Media was that it wasn't just Natalie claiming that, it was the anchor himself that is starting to realize that as well. We must break the Bitcoin echo chamber. People need to understand that it is not left versus right. It is not Democrat versus Republican, which is why we keep politics out of this fucking show. It is the party of green, the party of central bank digital currencies, the party of poverty, the party of nihilism versus the party of orange, the party of freedom, prosperity, peace, and Bitcoin. That is the battle at hand, and it's a metaphorical battle. This is a peaceful revolution after all. So anyways, I'm going to play you guys a clip, and it's people asking, it's very sad. It's people asking very basic questions. Like, I can't afford anything. And we're going to dive into that. We have the data from you. Every time they print money, they are stealing from your future. And if you're in the younger generations, if you're just trying to get started, if you're just trying to buy a house, it makes it incredibly difficult. This isn't your fault. And it's not the economic model that's broken. It's not capitalism. It's the fact that the base layer of society is fundamentally corrupted and it's fundamentally broken. And Bitcoin literally fixes this. Anyways, let's check out the video.
I have a question. How are we like affording life right now?
It's to a point where people can't live. This amounted to $100. Like, this isn't even barely anything to feed me for a couple days.
You're not budgeting your money. Oh, you're not doing this. Oh, you're buying coffee. And it's like, no, I'm literally not doing any of those things.
I live paycheck to paycheck every week because I'm trying to pay every bill that the world is throwing at me right now.
And the government's response to that is, oh, hey, everybody, aliens are real. We don't give a fuck about aliens. We're trying to afford a roof over our heads. I refuse to continue living my entire life like this. I'm not going to struggle my entire life.
I'm just really tired of like not being able to do the things that I want.
Prices on everything are up, from food, gas, rent. Instead of $60 to fill up your gas tank, it's $140. Instead of 99 cents for eggs, it's fucking $3. Rent's going from $3,000 to $5,000. All that shit adds up, and wages aren't going up fast enough.
Wages have gone nowhere. So what did most of us have to do, myself included, with the extra $400 a month I was spending on gas? I had to use my credit cards. Even with 3 jobs now, I'm not even going to make a dent on those credit card bills. I seriously want to know what the end game is, because soon we're not going to have any money for anything anymore.
So why the fuck are we working so hard to make money for other fucking people to use and steal our income just for us to never see it?
I don't know what to do anymore. I don't.
I just don't understand. At one point, I thought I had some sort of a purpose.
I'm working just to basically pay bills, just to survive.
Why can't we? This phenomenon is happening on a countrywide level. People are waking up. People are realizing that the system is fucking broken, to the point that we just had this video. When I first initially ran into this video, it had 3.9 million views. The video has 32 million views. It's gone absolutely viral. And the video is called Richmond North of Richmond. We've played you the video and it hits on all the chords and all the reasons. But again, it's blaming the politicians. It's blaming the elites in DC. And yes, the elites in DC, they're benefiting from the fiat money printer. Absolutely, 100%. They're definitely enriching themselves. But it's the architecture of the system that is broken. And Marty said it very elegantly. He said the conversation around inflation needs to shift away from politicians and the rich and towards fiat money controlled by central banks to affect any real change. That's where the conversation needs to happen. And she said that wages aren't going fast enough. Well, is it a coincidence that wages have remained relatively stagnant ever since Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971? Productivity, meaning the amount of work that people have gone on. The fact that people need to work 2 jobs to maintain the household. One partner can't stay at home, whether that's the man or the woman. It's irrelevant, to take care of the children. No, both parents now need to work. Wages have stayed the same, but productivity, meaning the amount of work, has continued to go parabolic. This is fiat money. This is the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. This is serious. This is the real deal. They are stealing from our future. And when you confront them about it, they fucking gaslight you. Remember how they responded to that song, Richmond, North of Richmond. And all those people in that TikTok video, in that song that Oliver wrote, they're identifying the problem, but they're not quite aware of the solution yet. We have that solution. That solution is Bitcoin. Bitcoin truly does fix this. And I'll get to that in a second. Anyways, 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That's not right. It's not right. And if you're a millennial, right? If you are a Gen Zer and you're looking to get your first home, just to get your first home, the prices of real estate have doubled in the last 2 years alone. And why did that happen? Well, let's take a look. Here's 2020. Here is the median house price in the US. It went from 322,000 to 479,000. If you live in a big city, they've doubled housing prices. Now, coincidentally, you know what also happened around the same time? They turned on the money printers. Every time they print money, it's a wealth redistribution mechanism from the lower and middle classes that don't have the means to save in assets back to the government and back and to the wealthy that do have the means to save in assets. But it's not the wealthy's fault. They're just trying to maintain their purchasing power. You would do the same thing if you were in their shoes. And you know what they're doing with all this fucking money printing? They're sending billions of dollars to fight a fucking war in Ukraine that could potentially lead to nuclear Armageddon. Separate money from state. Full stop. Period. No one deserves the power of being able to create money for free that another human being has to work for. That's it. That's all we're advocating for. If you want to make more Bitcoin, get in line like everybody else. Invest in the mining infrastructure. Earn it. Work for it. Pay for it. But no, there shouldn't be a bureaucratic elite that have the ability to print money that the rest of us have to work for. And there are consequences to that. But Bitcoin is the solution. But before I get to that, Marty wrote this amazing article called The Ethics of Money Production. It goes on to say, over the weekend, someone resurfaced a tweet I sent in April 2020, warning about the ill effects that would follow the unprecedented explosion of the Federal Reserve's monetary base in the wake of the COVID economic lockdowns. The warning came with a snippet from George Guido, The Ethics of Money Production, which perfectly and succinctly explains how unfettered money printing leads to a misallocation of capital and resources that leads to terrible real-world consequences. Now, remember those videos that I've played for you. Remember Richmond, North of Richmond. Why did that video go viral? Because people resonate with it. People are going through the pain. Why do you think all of those people that were making TikToks, you heard the pain in their voices? Mainly that humanity is prevented from reaching its full potential because capital is squandered on fruitless endeavors that waste resources and distract and even prevent productive endeavors from being fruitful. Now that 3.5 years have come and gone since the tweet was sent, it's probably a good time to do a retrospective dive to highlight just how dead on Halsman was with the explanation and just how crazy the world went in 2020. Here's a short passage, and then I'll go back to Opti. We can have a conversation about it. Yet it is also possible that the capitalists underestimate the future decline of the PPM. That might be the case, in particular when they are unaware of the fact that the more paper notes are being printed. It is this scenario that advocates of cheap money commonly have in mind. But the hope that tricking capitalists into accepting lower interest rates entails more economic growth is entirely unfounded. It is true that in the case under consideration, the real interest rate would decline under the impact of new paper money being offered on the credit market. It is also true that this event is likely to incite businessmen to borrow more money and to start more investment projects than they otherwise would have started. Yet it would be a grave error to infer that this is tantamount to enhanced economic growth. The case is exactly the reverse. At any point in time, the available supplies of factors of production put a limit on the number of investment projects that can successfully be completed. What the artificial decrease of the real interest rate does is to increase the number of projects that are launched, but the total volume of investments that can be completed has not thereby increased because the volume depends exclusively on the productive resources that are objectively available during the time needed for completion. The artificial decrease of the interest rates therefore lures the business community into all kinds of investments that cannot be completed. In terms of a biblical example, they could be said to start building all kinds of towers only to discover after a while that they have just the resources to build the foundations, but not to finish the towers themselves. The labor and capital invested in the foundations are then lost, not only for the investor, but for the entire commonwealth. They could have been fruitfully invested in a smaller number of projects, but the artificial decrease of the interest rate prevented this. In short, economic growth is diminished below the level it could otherwise have reached. To sum it up, it is by no means sure that politically induced increases of the money supply will lead to a decrease of the interest rate below the level it would have reached in a free economy. The success of cheap money policy is especially unlikely when the policy is not adopted on an ad hoc basis, but turned into a guiding principle of economic policy. But the fundamental objection to this policy is that it is counterproductive even if it succeeds in decreasing the interest rate. The consequence would be more waste and thus less growth. When rereading this passage, I couldn't help but think that the landscape of venture capital, the PPP loan program, the green energy bill hiding behind the name, quote, Inflation Reduction Act, the tech sector experiencing a massive boom in the wake of lockdowns, and money printing in the spring of 2020. As rates were dropped to the zero bound and trillions of dollars were pumped into the system, venture funds raised billions of dollars and funneled those dollars to tech startups at insanely inflated valuations. Later stage companies received a timely lifeline that allowed them to extend and pretend, and earlier stage companies were given a chance to prove themselves. As it stands today, with rates well above 5% as the Fed attempts to bring down inflation, many of those companies that benefited from money printing have absolutely nothing to show for it in the form of a profitable business that is sustainable. Higher rates are exposing the fact that most of these businesses shouldn't have been funded in the first place. Their viability only makes sense when the cost of capital is as close to zero as it can get, which is a scenario that can only be manufactured with central planning. And what are the real life consequences of this? You guys see it. Everyone else gets fucked. And the people that are closest to the money spigot, the people that benefit from the money spigot, they benefit, but nothing productive comes out of it. While the rest of us, we're just trying to afford housing. We're just trying to get by. And this is why you hear the saying, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This is why you have Richmond north of Richmond going absolutely viral. This is why you had all those TikTok videos. Fiat money is fundamentally broken, and it is stealing from the vast majority of people. all around the world. Now, the good news, because that was a lot of dark stuff, is that Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin fixed this for my life. Bitcoin is fixing this for El Salvador. Bitcoin potentially could fix this for Argentina. I know Bitcoin fixed this for Opti's life as well. Under a Bitcoin standard, your life actually gets cheaper over time. Even with all the fucking shenanigans happening with fiat money, if you save and earn in Bitcoin, your life will literally get cheaper. Here's Price in Bitcoin. It's a website that I showed yesterday and is a testament to that. If you've been saving in Bitcoin, the dollar has actually gotten 75% cheaper over the last 5 years. Oil, gasoline has gotten 72% cheaper in the last 5 years. Gold has gotten 60% cheaper in the last 5 years. The S&P 500, 62% cheaper. And most importantly, because we have been talking about housing, even with housing rising the way it has been because of all the money printing, if you were saving in Bitcoin, housing has gotten 60% cheaper for you. On a 3-year time scale, it's actually gotten 51% cheaper for you. So the answer's on the wall. I don't think there's a political solution to this. I don't think that they're interested in political solution to this. I think both political parties are benefiting from this theft. And I don't think they're the answer to this. The answer to this is simple. Opt out. Opt out into a non-broken money. Opt out into a money that values your time, your energy, your effort, and drop that fucking fiat. That's what I got to say. I know I covered a lot today, but this is a subject matter that really, really, holds near and dear to my heart. And yeah, this is serious. Like, this is the real deal. Like, we're not joking when we say the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Like, this is what it's all about. There's real life consequences to fiat money. And yes, we live in the States where the inflation rate is relatively stable, but imagine living in Argentina when you're dealing with 100% inflation. Bitcoin is survival for you. And I would make the case that in the US, with the money printing that they're doing and the amount of debt that the US owes, and how that debt continues to go higher day by day, I would say Bitcoin is not a investment. Bitcoin is not a speculative asset. Bitcoin is survival. At least it was for me. And I sure the hell know it is for a whole lot of people. They're just not aware of it. So it's our job, take agency. It's our job to point people in the right direction, get them away from the divide and conquer, left versus right, Democrat versus Republican, and get them focused on the target. It's not the politicians that are coming to save your life. It's the fact that money is fundamentally broken. The system won't change until we fix the money. Fix the money, fix the world. Opti, what's your take?
First and foremost, let the boy cook. Nico coming in hot today. Classic throwback Nico Jones rant. And before I go into my take on everything, I need to dust off my ethics of money production and redevour it, because that was some sauce in there. But I'm so glad you covered this, because I wanted to cover it when it first came out as well. I saw that video and I wasn't sure if the video would copyright check us, but I'm glad that we covered it anyways. But I think this is something we say all the time, and we're starting to see it happen in real time, is that first and foremost, people are going to have to feel the pain. If you aren't feeling that pain, not everyone is as lucky as the few Austrian Bitcoiners out there that just inherently understand the problem, and they know that it starts with the money, stupid. Most people are oblivious to this. Most people are just on the rat race. They have no clue what's going on. And of course, this is by design. But as you can tell, and you're seeing it on social media, and of course, we have to at times look outside of our own echo chamber on Twitter. I know our social media, most of us have our social media in a way where it's confirmation bias. You're talking with people that think like you think. You want to interact with people that believe what you believe on social media so that you don't feel like you're crazy. But when you start seeing this happen AKA the TikToks, the YouTube videos, people posting on social media about the problem. They're all feeling the same thing. And we say it all the time. Inflation is the silent theft. Inflation is theft, first and foremost, period. And few people understand the mechanics of what's going on with the money, yet everyone feels the pain. So the first point is people have to feel the pain. And I don't think we can stress this enough. And I know I say it all the time. What gets repeated gets remembered. What gets remembered gets repeated. And this is where we are, guys. Like, this is why we constantly double down on the idea of inflation, is because the average person needs to care. And what more do they care about than surviving, feeding their family, feeding themselves, paying their bills? This is the fundamental problem in the world today, is no one can keep up with the money printer. And everyone is getting poorer because of fiat currencies. Again, this is not a left versus right thing. This is an orange versus green thing. And printing money affects every single one of us. And I know it's a bear market. This bear market's been tough. It's been one of the longest ones ever. But still, Bitcoin is the best way to store your value moving forward. It's the only thing that cannot get debased. 21 million hard cap. Again, 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be created. You don't have enough right now. You need to save more. And really, actually, I think the real message in this social media clip and what Nico is elaborating on is that more people need to save. Like, saving is so important, especially saving in something that cannot get debased. But as you guys know, as Bitcoiners, as Austrian economists out there, as anti-Keynesians, fiat money, fiat currencies have a way of incentivizing you to spend. You hear the talking heads say it all the time. You know, we need the velocity of money to go circulate throughout the economy so that we all get richer. And it's like, no, you need to save capital so that you can build things. And if you're holding dollars, if you're holding paper money, you are incentivized to spend it as quickly as possible. And this is something I've seen in my own life. If I'm holding fiat dollars, it's so much harder for me to save that money because it's inherently burning a hole in my pocket. And as Sailor always says, it's melting ice cubes. And Bitcoin incentivizes you to save. You know, we have the HODL meme. It's like 21 million Bitcoin. You do not have enough Bitcoin. HODL. HODL through the ups, HODL through the downs. But really what we're saying is savings. And this is why the meme that Bitcoin is a peaceful revolution is so powerful, because all you really have to do is save for yourself. Pay future you first. Save. Like, everyone out there needs to save something. If you aren't saving any of your capital coming in, how are you expecting to have surplus into your future? It literally doesn't compute. You need to save something. And I say it all the time, from the richest man in Babylon, you know, save 10% of your paychecks, live within the 90% of your paycheck. But where we are right now, it's becoming extremely difficult to do that because prices are going up. I think I talked about this last week, the idea, or maybe this was with my friends, and it might have been off air or on Spaces. But I think every one of us, even as Bitcoiners, are feeling the pain of inflation when we go to the grocery store, and slowly but surely you're like, wait, wasn't my steak $16 last week and now it's $19? Like, wait, what's going on? Even us that understand what's going on, if it happens so slow, then yeah, Nico, exactly. Sorry, he's hitting me in the chat. I was going to say the same thing. It happens so slow, the inflation and just the exposure, that you don't even realize it if you know the mechanics. You just feel it. And then you almost even gaslight yourself. You're like, wait, am I actually seeing the world correctly? But yes, you are. Inflation is robbing the future. It is literally stealing from you. It's designed to steal from you. And the talking heads are out there like, oh, hey, you know, 2% inflation isn't enough. Maybe we should move it to 4% inflation. And that's just what's on paper, let alone what the actual inflation is, which everyone knows is probably in the double digits. Like, the world is becoming poorer because of our money. And this is uncontentious, and it's really upon us Bitcoiners. It's what we try to do here on Simply Bitcoin every day, is expose more people to the funky money game going on right now. As everyone's saying in the chat, you know, Bitcoin isn't a get rich quick scheme. It's a don't get poor slowly scheme. And this is where you are right now. This is the starting point. This is the given of society. You are forced to get poor slowly. And there's nothing you can do about it because you are using paper money or using fiat currencies. And hey, take it, peasant. Like take the, eat the boot. This is the status quo. We have the guns. This is what your lot is in life. And we as Bitcoiners like, no, fuck that. We are saving in something that isn't designed to steal from us. And as more people wake up to this, not only will your life get better, but literally the whole world will improve. It starts with the money, guys. Fix the money, fix the world. As everyone was saying, and I say it all the time in the chat, everyone knows what the problem is, but few people know what the solution is. And this is why we're Simply Bitcoin. This is why every geopolitical issue, every political issue, every issue going on in the world, from mainstream media to political issues, we always angle it back to Bitcoin because it's all starting with the money, and then everything else will flush its way out. Anyways, guys, we're going super long, so we're going to jump straight into the memes. So Nico, take it away.
Yep. And before we jump straight into the memes, guys, I want to tell you about the best place to build your Bitcoin stack, swan.com. It's being built by Bitcoiners. It's for Bitcoiners. They incentivize you to dollar cost average. They also incentivize you to take self-custody. That's why we love Swan. Guys, if you haven't already done so, visit swanbitcoin.com/simply. And if you buy, I think it's $100 worth of Bitcoin, they'll give you $10 worth of Bitcoin free. So check out Swan Bitcoin today. Also want to give a shout out to the largest Bitcoin festival on the West Coast, the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. It's October 5th through the 6th, Los Angeles, California. Speaker list includes Jimmy Song, Lynn Alden, Greg Foss, Alex Gladstein, Corey Clipson, Preston Pish, Max Kaiser, Stacy Herbert. Opti and I are going to be there. You definitely don't want to miss it. Use promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a nice discount. Let's get to the memes.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Kaboom Racks. I get this question all the time. Nico, where should I buy Bitcoin miners? The answer is Kaboom Racks. It's the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. That's where you're going to find the best deals and the best prices. Start your mining utopia today. To check out their racks, you got to go to t.me/Kaboom Racks. Join their Telegram group and start your mining journey today. Kaboom Racks.
Kaboom. Kaboom racks. All right, guys. So as you can tell, we're going straight into the memes today, which will just give me more time to make the bit that I wanted to do for you guys today even better for tomorrow. So, buckle up, stay in there. We love you guys. But, we have to end the show on a light note because, hey, for most people out there, maybe we just rock their world and they're like, wait, what's going on? Oh my God. I need some relief to the craziness of clown world. Well, this is why we do the memes. This is the meme review where you guys send us memes and we cover them live. And you guys drop your meme review score in the chat, and we cover those live as well. Anyways, tag me on Twitter, Simply Bitcoin TV or Optimus Fields, and I will bring them on the show. Shouts out to you guys that are tagging me. I can't get to every single one of them, but I do my best. So I'll just keep tagging me, guys. This is a good problem to have, but also drop them in our Telegram group, t.me/Simply Bitcoin, and I will look in there every morning as well and get your memes on the show. That's the whole point. It's involving you on the show. Get your memes on the show, guys. Or, you can also hit us up and we'll bring you on the show as well in real time. Anyways, totally other topic. Tweets are the bullets, memes are the artillery. As you can tell, the world is still asleep, but it is slowly but surely waking up. So it is upon every single one of us as individuals to spread that signal, to have these conversations, to incept these ideas into people's brains, because we do have the solution. It's saving in the hardest money, period. This is simple economics. And no amount of gaslighting by the Keynesians will disprove the fact that holding the best money in the world will improve your life. This is as simple as it can get. Anyways, first meme is by our boy RD_BTC, and he goes, if you're not doing this, are you even a Bitcoiner? #conviction, #BTFD, aka buy the fucking dip. Anyways, we got the classic, what is this, flex tape commercial meme here, where the guy slaps the tape on a leaking water, what's a case of water, and he goes, me and my net worth in fiat plummeting, and it's water leaking out of this hole in your savings, and then you just slap some flex tape on it, aka Bitcoin, and you buy the dip. Guys, what's the meme? When there's blood on the streets, that's when you buy. Guys, if you're a Bitcoiner, well, this is for the new Bitcoiners. If you're a new Bitcoiner, when the price goes down, this is just an opportunity for you to stack more Bitcoin. This is when conviction is made. This is when real Bitcoiners are born. And what's the Bane meme? You know, I was born in the darkness. You merely inherited it. Shouts out to all you Bitcoiners that got in the bull run. I was born in a bear market, and this is when I feel alive. This is when I feel most alive. Okay, next meme is by the BTC therapist, and he goes, hashtag Bitcoin is for savings. And again, I didn't even know Nico was going to do the saving bit, but Bitcoin is for savings. Anyways, we got Batman here, and we got Batman stoically just saying, buying Bitcoin to make money. And then at the bottom is a second scene, Batman smiling and saying, no, buying Bitcoin to save money. This is the message, guys. You need to save in something that cannot be debased. This is how you improve your life. Guys, I say it all the time, and this is what I wanted to kind of cover in the culture today, but I'll do it tomorrow. Bitcoin is entrepreneur money. It makes you look at your life in a way where you run it like a startup business, and you need to have excess. You need to have some capital saved up so that you can do the things you want. Stop holding melting ice cubes. Get off the fiat standard and get on the Bitcoin standard. And here we go. The next meme is memeing Bitcoin. And we got a boat here, a sailboat, maybe Christopher Columbus's boat. And it goes, born too late to explore the world. And then we got a Star Trek ship here, you know, leaving planet Earth, and it goes, born too early to explore space. Then we got the Bitcoin logo going hyperbolic, and it goes, no, what's the Star Trek when you get, you know, you go time warp, I don't remember. Anyways, Bitcoin logo, and it goes, born just in time to explore cyberspace. This is the way, guys. Save your money in cyberspace in the digital bank known as Bitcoin. Anyways, next meme is by our boys at Stampseed. And it goes, good morning. Remove your Bitcoin from exchanges. Actually, I'm going so hard on exchanges right now. So classic Drake template. And he's doing the hotline bling no to CZ's face. And then he's doing the classic yes to taking your Bitcoin into self-custody and stamping your seed in titanium with Stampseed. Guys, take your Bitcoin off an exchange. It's not your Bitcoin if it's on an exchange. And on that note, we have Bitcoinator, and he goes, please help those people. And we got the I see dead people meme here from, I forget, what's it, 6 cents maybe?
13 candles.
Yeah, Nico knows. Okay. And we got the kid, and he goes, I see very stupid people. And we got Bruce Willis here, and goes, what kind of stupid? And he goes, they got their BTC on exchanges. What are you doing? Take it into self-custody. It is so simple. It is not difficult. Anyways, next meme is by @Coinfinity, and he goes, sorry, those are not Bitcoin. And we just got, it looks like a poem or a haiku, but it's just words here. And he goes, not Bitcoin. So what's not Bitcoin? Bitcoin Cash is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin SV is not Bitcoin. Stake Bitcoin is not Bitcoin. Wrap Bitcoin is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin on Coinbase is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin on Binance is not Bitcoin. Again, if it's not Bitcoin, it's a shitcoin. And if it's not in self-custody, it's just an IOU and it's not your Bitcoin. Okay, this next one is by HODLCat21. And I really felt this one because I'm kind of in the same boat right now. And he goes, the struggle is real. And we got Mark Zuckerberg looking through the window all creepily and sad. And he goes, me seeing Bitcoin dipping more, knowing that I'm out of fiat. Shouts out to everyone with that problem right now and having no fiat to stack the dip. Actually, I might actually have a little bit of fiat, but watch. This is my meme review score. Drop it in the chat. Oh, wait. Let's full screen this.
I'm going to give it this Matex sticker that came with some Matexes that I just bought.
Oh, that's my favorite quote.
I swear by my life and my love of it that I will never live for the sake of another man, nor ask another man to live for mine. So shout out to Ayn Rand. And I actually used this quote, right, to come up with, I think it's pinned to the top of my Twitter profile, which is, I refuse to work for another man for money that another man could make for free. Anyways, Opti, what's your meme review score?
That Ayn Rand quote, I've literally, ever since I heard that and like based my life off of that, which was probably like a year and a half ago, like, I don't know, it just like clicked to me, and one day it like hit me across the face. And I literally, this is how I live my life. I absolutely love that quote. I say it as many times as possible. Anyways, I told you guys I don't have any fiat. I guess I was kind of lying because I have this 20 pesos, Mexican pesos on my desk. So I don't know what the exchange rate is. What's 20 pesos? Is that like $1? I have a dollar. I have a dollar. Wait, I can't even speak Spanish. 20 pesos. 20 pesos.
20 pesos. Okay.
20 pesos. This is simply Bitcoin.
All right, everybody, let's get to some of the meme scores. First one is Bitcoin for Canadians. I give the memes my plan to stack till I drop. Oof, I love that. Absolutely awesome. Next one by Phil C. I give the memes BNB shitcoin trending to 0. Absolutely hilarious. Next one by Bushmaster. Meme score Silent Revolution is imperative. And Opti, that's warp drive stream.
Yeah, there we go. What did I say? Hyperbolic?
Oh man.
Okay,
close enough. Opti's non-facial morning selfie to Nico. Opti needs to do more drugs to better describe cyberspace. Spoiler, he won't be able to describe it better.
Wait, before we go on. Shouts out to my boy, because he always tags me on Twitter. He's like, what he said last week on Friday? He's like, this meme is so bad, I need Opti to describe it.
Oh, man. Son of Satoshi meme scored. John Maynard Keynes is a Fabian collectivist that wanted to create a world central bank and a shitcoin called Bancor. The more you know. Oof, that is deep. Collectivism bad, individualism good. Elaine Lowell, moving to Bitcoinia, the new state created as several states joined to secede, creating Bitcoin heaven in the U.S. Let freedom ring. I absolutely love that. McLovin, after hyper Bitcoinization, Simply Bitcoin will have to rename the show.
Yes, we will. We've already thought about this.
Thinking about this. Probably just simply. Anyways, I Kim Gage. I score that my used hemorrhoid cream.
Yo, you nasty.
What? Bitcoin Becca. I give the memes my empty fiat bank account. Becca is doing it the right way, and I can confirm Becca does make the best sandwiches.
Wait. Just to clarify, Nico. 20 pesos is roughly 0.000023 BTC. That's not even. That's like
sounds like Bitcoin is winning. Anyways, it's the buzzer. We're out of time.
Wait, do I tear it up because it's so worthless? Like, what do I do?
Do it. Tear it up.
Wait,
Max Kaiser.
it's not illegal. I can't even tear it, guys. This shit, it's plastic.
Wow.
It's unterrible.
Okay, all right.
It's indestructible.
Oh my God.
It doesn't tear.
All right, guys, you've been listening to Simply Bitcoin. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. The number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, especially after today's episode, share Bitcoin content. Take agency. Be the Uncle Jim in your family. Go around telling people. Stop getting distracted from the left and right bullshit. It's the money that's broken. You fix the money, you fix the world. I'm your host. Nico is my co-host. Opti. We'll be back tomorrow, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. And also, we'll be live streaming from Austin, Texas, starting Thursday and Friday from BitBlock Boom. So that should be interesting. We haven't quite figured out how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. All right, guys, have an awesome day. I'll see you guys later.